Hi, my name is Jeff Pagano, and welcome to a special edition of Harping on Rugby. Now, if this video has popped up in your algorithm, then I'm pretty sure you're enough of a rugby nerd. Fan, to know the name Pat McCarry. For many years, he has penned a host of excellent articles for sportshow.ie, but now he's used that very same pen to write a play, no less. And he joins me to talk about it. A warm welcome to you, Pat.
Hey Jeff, how you getting on?
Great to see you. And well, listen, all I'm going to say about the play is that it's called Soldier Field, and it's clearly topical with the big games coming up for Ireland. So why don't you tell us all about it and where it's on?
Yeah, let's see. I'll take a deep breath and see if I can cut a promo here. Yeah, Soldier Field. It's a play that I wrote. I told some folks about a bit of background to it would be. I'm a sports journalist. Some people would know me. Like, yeah, you mentioned sports, Joe. I've done stuff for like Rugby World, doing a bit of stuff for Rugby Pass at the moment as well. So I was fortunate enough to be in Chicago in 2016 to see Ireland beat the All Blacks, and I was just kind of inspired by that occasion, and by talking to many of the players that day, and it came like 4 weeks after the tragic passing of Anthony Foley as well, and the very fact that you had four Munster players at the front of that figure of eight tribute that faced the Haka, that's something that would probably stay with nearly every fan who was at that game or who watched that game to this day. So, and the fact that it came just those 4 weeks after Anthony had passed away in Paris was kind of made it all the more poignant. So, just from talking to fans and players that day, there was always in my head, I was like, there's definitely a story here. So I'd written a couple of plays over the years, and a couple of books as well. And this one was I needed a little bit of time to go away and kind of put it together, and did so. And we kind of first staged it in 2019 in the Mill Theatre in Dundrum as a one act. And then recently enough, the eighth anniversary of Anthony Foley's passing was coming up. So I kind of revisited it. We kind of stretched it out to what I always wanted it to be, a full length play. And yeah, just delighted with it now. We started doing it last October. And then we brought it to kind of Dublin, Kildare, down to Limerick last year. We had 500, fans down at the Lime Tree Theatre, and it got a great reaction. So yeah, I knew the game was coming up in Soldier Field, so I said let's kind of bring it on the road again. We're doing Tralee this Saturday in Shim Satira, then we're going to the Mill in Dundrum again for 2 nights, the 28th and the 29th of October, and then we finish out the night before the big Ireland All Blacks game in University Concert Hall in Limerick. So really looking forward to getting on the road and kind of just experiencing it and letting the fans all enjoy it again.
So yeah, Pat. So how did you? I mean, so it's a story. You make it into a play, and it's got Anthony Foley influence in it. How do you bring those two together in the play?
Yeah, so I suppose it's how do you go about telling a story as well? And so like I just remember from being over there, like a lot of it is kind of they're either kind of direct quotes from some of the players, or you're kind of paraphrasing it a little bit as well. And I kind of just remember certain stories just jumped out, like Conor Murray. Like there was whenever Ireland played the All Blacks, there's always this period where they're gonna just blindside you and hit you with two or three tries really quickly, or two or three scores, and that's what happened in the game as well. And the fact that Conor Murray stepped up in that game and kicked this really, crucial kick to keep the All Blacks at arm's length when it looked like all of our dreams were about to crumble again. And the fact that he had never taken a kick in Test rugby before, you just kind of spoke so much to me. And then he often spoke about just like, I think every Munster player who was involved that day, their head was still kind of swirling around a good bit. But Conor has spoken a little bit about it now. He's got his book out at the moment, and he was just saying that there was a part of maybe what happened, and like, as tragic as it was just like maybe put everything into perspective. And it's like, let's not worry about the All Blacks anymore. Like I think he even said, I don't give an F, and I'm going to go out and do it. And maybe that's the attitude he took out there that day. CJ Stander was another guy who he's a bit like very spiritual, and he spoke about, he felt like Anthony Foley was with him out in the field that day, and kind of driving him on. And then you had someone like Rob Kearney, who kind of, the minute Rob hit his 30s, he was getting written off, and the next player was coming, and the next player was coming. And he went out, and like Joe Schmidt, like knew how to push his buttons, and he told him, like, you need to have a big game today. Like, this is, all on you. And Kearney kind of almost, it was 7 years after that, brilliant Lions tour he had. It was probably one of his best games since then as well. So all those kind of stories kind of came to the surface. And then just the other stories about a lot of the fans that are over there. And I think a lot of people kind of, like, happily now, we kind of forget a little bit how tough it was for Ireland around that stage, because they'd be in the recession, the crash. A lot of people had lost jobs and homes and livelihoods, and people had to emigrate again. And so it was a tough period for Ireland, but that was a time when we were starting to kind of climb back out of it. And in a weird way, we kind of we got a bit of our pride back through sport as well. And there was like he's taken a bit of a fall off since then, but Conor McGregor was on the rise. We had some of the other kind of boxers, like Katie Taylor was doing us proud as well. The footballers were going away and winning big games, and then you had the rugby team went and kind of defeated the All Blacks for the first time in their test history. So there was just so many things like that, and so yeah, sometimes in a way sport does help lift us as a nation. And so I was trying to capture all those elements, and so I kind of decided to tell it through the eyes of some of the players and some of the fans who are at the game. And so that's the idea of the game. Like, we kind of set the scene for the game, and then all of a sudden, like, we get to the game in the play, and we start bouncing back between what's happening on the field and what's happening up in the stands as well. And I like to say that I try and if you maybe you come out of it a bit wrecked, like you would an actual match as well, and there's ups and downs and highs and lows, and you kind of feel they're going to do it, and then you kind of get the kind of punch in the stomach again, like, and all those feelings that you feel. And so yeah, we've got a great reaction from it so far. And yeah, like, a lot of people do say to us, like, God, it was like watching a match as well. And we try and encourage the audience as well to kind of cheer and chant and sing along. And even last night we had a dress rehearsal in the Dewdrop, a kind of a place in Kill in Kildare. We kind of ran it there. We had around 30 people in the audience, a little mini test audience, and they were stamping their feet and getting up and cheering as well. Like, so,
right.
So yeah, really looking forward to bringing it to the big venues again now and getting that reaction from crowds too.
Yeah, I mean, it was certainly an experience. I mean, for the fans, because I mean, when we were, yourself, when we were watching that game, there was so much going on. There was obviously the Anthony Foley had just passed, and there was that. But also, when it comes to the All Blacks, we're remembering that the time of the Aviva wasn't that long ago that we had that early lead. So even though we had the early lead here, and then when like you say, in the second half, when the All Blacks started coming back, it was looking like it almost is inevitable that was going to happen again. But for Robbie Henshaw to get that try at the end to extend the lead even further at the end, it was just unbelievable experience. So it's perfect timing to maybe recreate that and bring that out again. And is there and I understand that this production is connected to a charity as well.
Yeah, there's very fortunate. Like, got chatting to Orla Foley, who's like Anthony's sister. One of his sisters, Rosie's the other sister, and got chatting to her a couple of years ago. They were kind of she set up a fundraiser in Anthony's memory back in like just after he passed, and started doing cycling to kind of raise money and kind of raise awareness for 3 charities. So the charities are like Cry Ireland, like cardiac Arresting the Young, Ireland. Then we have the Midwestern Cancer Foundation, and then the IRFU Charitable Trust, who all kind of played a role in Anthony's life and the family's life as well. So I got talking to Orla at the time, and I was thinking, like, yeah, maybe if we ever get this play up on stage again, we could raise a bit of money, and we could help kind of honor her brother as well. And so when Orla heard about that, she was like, yeah, gung ho for it. And we started doing it last year, and I think through the plays we did last October and February, I think we've raised a little bit over 7,000 euro. Like, so that goes towards those 3 charities then as well. And then Orla's kind of just been doing her own stuff in the background. Like, she's kind of like a force of nature herself. Like, she kind of so much positive energy as well, and she's been a great support. And like, even then, she's still doing her cycling to raise money.
Yeah,
she's got a new thing called Move for Axel at the moment as well, or Ride for Axel. So she wants people to get up and moving, and it's all about kind of like your health and fitness and kind of so it's been great. So she's doing a lot of bit of this, and so we're trying to do the same when we're doing the tour this time around. Like, some of the proceeds from whatever the ticket sales we'll make a donation then again to the charity. So it's a lovely little, for us, it's great to have Orla's support and kind of know that, like, somebody from Anthony's family is kind of like it means so much to her that her brother's memory is being kind of like celebrated, and at the same time raising a bit of money for good causes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, it sounds brilliant. It's a great association, and really looks like a great project all around. And from a personal standpoint, I mean, this playwriting thing, you seem to have take a liking to it. Do you have more projects on the pipeline?
Yeah, well, I did something. I was fortunate enough to live in New Zealand, and around the time, just after the Lions tour in 2006, I lived there for a while, and that's maybe what kind of colors a bit of my perception of Ireland and the All Blacks and what it was like to see how they, you know, they just live and breathe rugby over there as well. So when I was over there, I did a play before that was in the comedy festival over in New Zealand, and I've often thought about kind of like you know, almost like relocating the kind of setting for it to Ireland as well. So something like that. I saw, who is it? Rob Kitson, you know, the Guardian writer, has
Yep.
he's had a play that's been adapted as well. So that's it. And I do have a kind of, yeah, maybe like I've done a couple of books as well, and so yeah, maybe something like that again next year. Like I'd love to, again, maybe just because I want a free trip or two, but I'd love to go over. I'd love to go over to La Rochelle and just kind of get a real taste of like what the Rog experience, and kind of how they've kind of transformed that team on the west coast of France. Like, so yeah, just pitching that to publishers and seeing who'll pay for me to go over 10 or 12 times during the course of a season. Like,
Well, you've got to do the full extensive research, you know.
oh, yeah,
But no, seriously, there's loads of stories like that out there that are kind of ripe for stuff like that, just within the game of rugby union, and they extend beyond the sport as well. So it's there's definitely a lot of scope there. Listen, I'll tell you what, Pat, we're going to leave it there for now, and I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank you for giving me the chance to talk about literally anything but that match at Croker last weekend. But seriously, this really does sound like an awesome play for an awesome cause, and I'm sure it's going to go great. We wish you all the best. Thanks. Thank you, sir. Thanks
very much. Thanks for having us.